Of course, when I think about it, there is guilt. There is some guilt. But most of all, there is loss. That is what really hurts. I miss the toast and the snow. I miss the rush of neon on the boulevard in the middle of the night. I miss Masha. I miss Moscow. Snowdrops is the story of Nick Platt, an English lawyer living in Moscow during the Russian oil boom. And it narrates the events of his last winter in that city when he becomes embroiled with two young women whom he meets on the Moscow metro. But really it's a story about moral degradation. It's about how a seemingly ordinary 30-something Englishman can come to be complicit in very bad deeds. A lot of people think that journalism and fiction are very different kinds of writing, and of course they are, but actually I think the challenges of the two overlap, and many of the main ones are sort of consistent across different kinds of writing. Beginnings are always hard, whether that's the beginning of a column or of a novel, as are endings. And subplots in a novel are hard, and digressions in an article are hard, and calibrating how long they should be and what their relationship should be with the main thrust of the writing. So I think lots of the challenges that arise, as I say, are the same for both journalism and fiction. And for me, journalism was a very good training for writing fiction, because I think it makes you a better and more efficient writer, and also perhaps a more self-critical writer, because in journalism you're very used to feedback. British journalism is in a rather odd phase, because on the one hand, as everybody knows, and as journalism is across much of the Western world, it's in deep trouble financially, because the old business models of newspapers and magazines have been severely undermined by the internet and other new media. At the same time, in a way, British journalism is having a kind of heyday. I mean, the parliamentary expenses scandal in Britain last year was a triumph of the holding to account of powerful people by journalists. Being nominated for the Man Booker Prize has been incredibly encouraging in terms of my kind of future hopes to write fiction and to write more novels, which I very much would like to do. And I've got a few ideas kind of rattling around in my head for another book, although Snowdrops is still sort of alive in my head, so I'm having a bit of difficulty switching to another project, but I would very much like to. But I also want to carry on doing journalism, and I think journalism is both an interesting and enjoyable way to make a living, and also valuable and important kind of part of democratic life. So if I can find the time, I'd like to carry on doing both.